Good evening, y'all. I'm going to tell you a story, and this story goes back to 1976 when I was 8 years old. And I talked a little bit about this in a previous video. When I was 8 years old, I was taken to a hospital in Toronto called the Clark Institute of Psychiatry, where I was used as a guinea pig for various drugs. I was given LSD and all kinds of stuff anyway. It was 56 days that really did change my life anyway. It affected my health. My health is still affected by it. It was quite a traumatic experience. A lot of bad things happened there. I don't know what all I'll talk about really. For the time being, I won't tell all the stories, but I'll tell you a little bit. And the story I want to tell you today is about my experience with an antipsychotic drug that is called Haldol, or haloperidol is another name for it. It's an old school antipsychotic drug. It's wicked powerful. I was 8 years old. There was no reason to put me on it other than that they just wanted to see what would happen. This is a drug they would give grown men who were violent and unmanageable, and it would just cripple you. That's basically what it did. It just immobilized you. It made you into a vegetable, basically. It'd lock you into your body. And you'd be aware, but you couldn't do anything. And anyway, what had happened was, this one morning, they come and they give me these pills. And they always dose me up real good on whatever it was, They give me extra of it just for good measure, I guess. I don't know, but they give me doses that now, if you look in the compendium of pharmaceuticals, it says you shouldn't even give a 250-pound man the doses of stuff of medication they were giving me. They'd be giving me 20 milligrams of something. But now they say it'd be a drug of last resort, and you'd only use it if you had to, and then you'd never give even a grown man any more than like 5 milligrams. I get 20 milligrams of the stuff. And anyway, it did affect me, and it still does. And anyway, they come and they give me these pills in the morning. That was all right. Nothing happened. I took the pills. I was used to taking pills. They were always giving me pills. And, you never knew what result you were going to get from the pills. Generally, there'd be some side effects, and it often wasn't pleasant. But, I didn't have a choice. I just accepted that I had to do as I was told. And so I took the pills. And, like I say, everything was all right until after lunch. We had our lunch at noontime, and we go down to it was like a little cafeteria area there that we had, and there was a kitchen off there with like a half door. The top of the door opened up, and then there was like a shelf. The bottom of the door had a shelf on the top of it, and they'd pass your food out to you that way. You'd bring your plate, you'd set your plate on the shelf there, and they had all the food on a table in front of the door, all in warming trays, and you'd tell them what you wanted. There was a few things there that only certain people could have, because we had anorexic girls there, and so some of the food was just for the anorexic girls and so on. But other than that, you could have anything that was there, really. You'd just point and say you wanted this, this, and this, and they'd put it on your plate, they'd spoon it out, and then you'd carry your plate over to a table. You had your plate on a tray. You'd take your plate over to a table to eat. They always had, well, back then, packaging for stuff wasn't like it is now. There wasn't a lot of plastic. But there were always like tins of apple juice and tins of orange juice and other things like that. Anyway, I had my lunch. And then after lunch, we had the opportunity to have these little ice cream cups. And what they were basically a paper, a cup was made out of heavy paper, and there was a big cardboard lid on the top of it, like a tab that you'd pull off, and you'd eat the thing with a wooden spoon. There was a wooden spoon wrapped in wax paper that came with it, and you'd open that up, take the little wooden spoon out, and you'd eat your ice cream with that. Anyway, I ate one of these little paper dishes of vanilla ice cream. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a real treat for me at 8 years old, in 1976. We didn't get stuff like that every day at home, that's for sure. And so I enjoyed it anyway. But after lunch, I got really cold. I mean really cold. Like my core temperature just seemed to drop. And I was shivering and shaking. I was so cold. Anyway, the nurses got a hold of me. They took me back to my room and laid me on my bed. And looking back on it now, I realize what happened. I didn't know at the time, though, but I took a seizure. I'm sure that's what happened. Because I started flipping and flopping on the bed, and there was a bunch of them holding me down, nurses and orderlies. And I was just flopping around like a fish out of water on the bed. And this one nurse, she was very harsh. She was an older lady and very harsh. And she's screaming in my face. And she's saying, "This is your fault. This is happening because you were a greedy little boy." She said, "You ate that ice cream after lunch. And that's why you got cold, and that's why this is happening. It's happening because you had to have that ice cream, didn't you? You just had to have that. You're a greedy little boy. You're a bad, greedy little boy, and that's why this is happening to you. And if you tell your parents about this, you'll be in trouble for being a bad, greedy little boy." I remember her screaming this in my face anyway, and they were holding me down, and I was just bouncing, I was scared. I was really scared. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I was really quite terrified, and having this woman scream in my face like she was doing it really didn't help anyway. I'm gonna try not to break down when I tell this story. At some point I went unconscious. I mean, I just passed out or went to sleep or something. I don't know.